Hey, what's up guys? Today I want to talk to you about the ultimate budget-friendly bokeh monster of a portrait lens that I just picked up online for $80. I hope I'm not disturbing you, Loki. It is the 105 f2.5 Nikkor P lens. Now, the 105 f2.5 is famous in the Nikon heritage. It's been made in f-mount since the late 1950s. It was a staple for working photographers in the 70s through to the 90s. And this, or a variant of this, is what Steve McCurry took his absolutely famous Afghan girl portrait with. Let's check it out. Okay folks, before we run through this, jump on over to my website. If you go to the gear page, you can download my gear buying guide. It's free and it's got all of my write-ups on all the different equipment that I've tested. If you sign up for the mailing list, you'll also get a free copy of my guide to portraiture. Now, I got this guy in specifically to test out so that I could use it on my budgetography series, but you'll note this isn't part of the budgetography series, this video, and that's because as I was testing the lens out, it kind of pivoted and took on a life of its own, which is going to end up being somewhat unbudget friendly. It actually has sparked, I think, an interesting diversion in the common should you spend your money on lens or body debate, but we'll come back to that. So, being that I was getting it for budgetography, it was to test out with Sir Clix-a-Lot. If you haven't seen my budgetography series, it's all photography tutorials using bargain basement equipment so you can replicate it really easily at home. So, Sir Clix-a-Lot, as I call him, is a Nikon D200 that I bought extremely used for about $100 online. This is a non-AI lens, which means the meter coupling and all of that doesn't work exactly well. And to be honest, the metering overall on this combo wasn't fantastic, but I still wanted to test it out and see the kind of results that we could get on this crop sensor body. Now, just for giggles, and because I have it, I grabbed the Hasselblad X1D and the Photodiox Pro adapter, and I found that the 105 actually has full coverage for the medium format sensor without any serious vignetting in the corners. Now that's not anything earth-shattering. A lot of 90+ millimeter lenses do have medium format coverage when you're talking this kind of size medium format, 44 by 33 millimeter. But I wanted to see how they would compare out. So we went out, found a really simple location among some reeds of grass, and I shot away with Steph for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. Now, as I shot with Steph, I was blown away by the image quality and the overall handling of the 105. To be honest, more so on the adapter than on the D200. As I said, I had trouble with metering with the D200, and the viewfinder is really dim on this, so getting focus even I found quite difficult. Of course, being an EVF, the Hasselblad, and it's quite intuitive with the touchscreen, I was able to nail focus without really any difficulty. Now, of course, to have a point of comparison, I did also take along the 105 f1.4e portrait lens. I mean, just look at the difference in size between those two. You add a couple of extra stops of light, and there's the difference. Over $2,000, under $100. Crazy. So I shot both lenses on both bodies to have a great point of contrast and see how the overall image quality was looking. Now let's take a look at some shots here. To me, the colors and the overall look of the f2.5, it's somehow filmic. It feels a little bit old, and it is, of course. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the 1.4e. I love how almost clinically sharp it is. It's one of my absolute favorite portrait lenses, but there's something about the color of this. It just feels like maybe you shot it on a high-grade film and had a digital scan done. It's imperfect, it's a little bit dreamy, but for me the sharp areas are still sharp enough. So it's not like a low-mo type lens where just everything is soft and dreamy, but it does have a touch of that swirl in the bokeh, which I know a lot of people aren't a fan of and a lot of people are a huge fan of. So it's going to be down to your taste. Okay, now we're getting into the complicated area. So the X1D has phenomenal color science. possibly the nicest color I've used for portraiture from any sensor, any camera, period. And for me, the pairing of the 2.5 on the Hasselblad was giving such beautiful color straight out of the box. Now, of course, you can do a lot to color in editing, that's no big deal, but it on the D200 or the 105 on either of them, I didn't like the results nearly as much. Now, here's where we're gonna come back to that conversation about should you spend your money on expensive lenses and cheap bodies, or cheap lenses and expensive bodies. Now, the prevailing thought, whenever you see these videos, it's well, of course it depends on the situation, but you're better putting your money into lenses, you'll see more of it in the final result, and yada, yada, yada. Now, granted, that might be comparing current bodies and current lenses because sensor technology changes, but so does the glass technology. So here we're looking at a super primo expensive portrait lens with a really budget body by today's standard. And we're looking at what used to be a primo portrait lens, but is now a budget with a super primo body. Now, one of the reasons why the images look so much nicer off the Hasselblad with this 2.5 than they do on the D200 is because of the crop factor and how close I was able to get to Steph when I was shooting her. Now, this is something people often misunderstand. If you're shooting a 2.8 of two different focal lengths, if you replicate the frame, even if it's a 20mm and a 200mm, if you replicate the frame, your depth of field will be the same. That means that on a 20mm, you'll be 10 times closer than you were on a 200mm. So here's the kicker. This D200 has a 1.5 crop factor. The Hasselblad has a 0.79 crop factor, which means, you're going under full frame in terms of crop factor. So that means to get the same frame on Steph with a 105 on the D200, I need to be almost double the distance away that I do on this guy, which means that an f2.5, twice as close on a medium format sensor compared to an f1.4 on a crop sensor, almost double as far away, the depth of field is almost exactly the same. So I'm not suggesting that you can buy this for $2,300 or you can buy this for $6,080, but that's a comparison anyone's really going to be doing. But I did find it really interesting that in this case, I don't need high frames per second, I don't need incredible focus, I don't need all of those things that you might be buying a body for. Say, if you were going to shoot sports, Nikon D500 would be a much better choice, or a used D3 for under $1,000. But for portraiture, where I'm using a manual focus lens, having an incredible image sensor to capture whatever detail I'm able to give it is actually paramount. So in that case, putting a lens like this onto, it doesn't have to be such a high-end medium format camera. It could be onto a full-frame mirrorless camera. You're going to find that you'll get much better results with a modern sensor that gives you focus peaking and all of those things than with a several years old technology crop sensor camera. That may be all a no-brainer. I essentially wanted to make this video because look at this image. That's taken with an $80 lens. Phenomenal. So if you are shooting with a crop camera or a medium format camera or a full frame camera, whatever it is, definitely do look into some of that older glass. Manual focus lenses that were always meant for manual focusing are so much easier to manual focus than any of your autofocus lenses. Smooth, long focus throw really makes it easy, and if you do have focus peaking, it opens up a whole new world to you. I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think of the images, and let me know what your favorite budget-friendly portrait lenses are in the comments below. Do like and subscribe. I'll see you soon. We bought this sofa for Loki a year before we got a sofa for ourselves, and I think it's still probably our best purchase for the house, hey? You just love it, don't you? Oh.